It is said that when one door closes, 9 other doors open. With respect to education, privatization is the necessary force that provides the extra 7 to 8 doors for millions of students who wish to pursue higher education. Let's face the music. India has a very high population, but all the public sector undertakings, public sector institutes you need more opportunities for these students, and that is exactly what privatization is providing. Like you take the examples of IITs and NITs and all such institutes, they have limited number of seats. So what about eminent talented students who wish to pursue similar courses? They don't get opportunities because the private sector is simply unable to provide the necessary opportunities. The government simply doesn't have the capability to meet the GDP requirement for education. And especially after a COVID pandemic, it is extremely difficult for the government to match the educational demands. So privatization is the necessary force that will ensure that the government becomes accountable, the government remains competitive, and provides the necessary force to match the education.
Private institutions, or any institutions for that matter, cater to the needs of their stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who have interest in the business. So the problem over here is stakeholders in private institutions have one motive: wealth maximization or profit maximization. This is basically ended up with education being a commodity, a luxury commodity like somebody suggested, that can be easily bought and sold. This is the reason why there has been a shift from proper academic with programs with proper academic quality to vocational programs or programs with proper profitability rather than probability. The entire essence of academia is lost over here. Additionally, now I'm looking to pursue a PG program. I would love to graduate from universities like Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Stanford, but I can't simply because the fee requirement is too high. This is not just my case. Millions of thousands of students across the world face this issue. And when there is a less diverse student body with all the same uniform perspectives.
Yeah, time up.
I would like to start by saying that the very reason privatization was brought about is because the government was incapable to meet the demands that are required by the students. The government is supposed to ensure that public sector organizations run properly, but they themselves accept the fact that the government is unable to meet the education demands, and hence they brought about privatization. From the Kothari Commission report in 1964 to the NEP in 1968 to the recent NEP in 2020, all these reports have always stated that at least 6% of the GDP needs to go towards education, but only 4.2% is going towards education as of now. So privatization is necessary to meet that gap, to provide opportunities.
I would like to start with the point that he mentioned in the beginning, that there are no seats available. See, if there are 100 seats available, then that's the value of one seat will be lost. There is a limited amount of seats because that one seat is very valuable. A student graduating from an IIM or an IIT is not equal to a student graduating from any random private university. That degree holds value. Additionally, we all know that private universities rely on patrons or donations. This is basically a backdoor opening for all kinds of corruption and fraud and malpractices. People who are not deserving.
Thank you. Please.
Since you talked about IITs and such institute, let's take the example of a student who got AR 2000 in JEE Advanced. That student wishes to pursue computer science from an IIT, but he or she won't be able to because of the limited number of seats and high competition. On the other hand, that person can actually get CSE at a reputed institute, a private institute such as BITS, because simply because the opportunity has been provided by the private institute.
Clear.
A student does not simply not get an admission into a college because of merit basis. There are a lot of other reasons. I would like to point out over here that private universities do not have a criteria for SC/ST students or disadvantaged people of the sector to perform better, while public universities provide that. In addition to that, I would like to tell you that a lot of researches and surveys that people mentioned over here are all funded by corporate business teams. These corporate business teams, the research is founded by the corporate business teams, will only end up showing that corporate business teams or private universities fare better.
Now, thank you.
I would like to say that privatization always forces government educational entities to perform better. For example, let's say that a new IIT has been established by the government, and you also have a new private institution. Obviously, people would flock towards the IIT because the brand name IIT it's built upon a lot of trust. But the truth is, because of that, the private institution would be forced to instantly provide better infrastructure and better campuses and better facilities, because that is the only way in which they can topple the public sector.
Meraki is a word used to convey that doing something with the soul. When you do something with your soul, when you put your entire heart into it, then you will reap profits. When you talk about a private institution, they're not looking to do a public good. They're not responsible to the public. They're not accountable to the public. They do not need to be transparent to the public. So who are they actually doing it for? Additionally, if you look at any rankings, if public universities are not performing well, how on earth then can consistently be the private universities consistently be ranking top 10 in any
Over to
ranking
you.
done?
Clear.
I would like to state that the topic is, does privatization improve the quality of higher education? The truth is, privatization as a concept, it's not the problem. Just like communism, it's a very good concept, but the people behind it, the management causes the problem. Because if the management is not efficient enough, that would lead to a lot of errors. The thing is, privatization is very necessary in order to manage the gap that occurs. And it is
a lot of people flock towards private universities because of the accreditations that they have. However, I would like to convey over here that there is an overinflation of accreditations and universities having those accreditations. There are a lot of universities, private universities, which have accreditations of AMBA, EQUIS, AMBS, and all other things. But that is not all properly accredited. In addition to that, there was a scam last year wherein a private university in India promised, it was a diploma course, they promised 2 years. It's 1 year you'll be...
I would like to finish off by saying that privatization is a necessary force that is required. The topic was whether privatization improves the overall quality of education. Like there may be some bad apples in the basket, but the overall quality of education is always improved by privatization.